So this is your first feature film writing. How does it feel bringing it to the Austin Film Festival, being your first one? And if you can talk about the writing process and what inspired this story.
We are really lucky. Andrew calls Austin home, and I am a UT grad, so bringing the film to Austin Film Festival is a homecoming for us, and it's just like a real source of pride as a Texan to be able to like have this be one of the first places where the movie plays in America.
And my first movie I ever made was a short film that I made while I was a student at UT, and its premiere was at the Austin Film Festival. So for me, this is a really special full circle moment.
And then what was the inspiration for this story? You know, writing a film about real people, real events can be tricky. You know, what did you want to convey with this story?
It started out with a fascination with the Kennedy family. Ultimately, like me and Andrew grew up in Dallas, and so the Kennedy legacy looms very large there. But Ted Kennedy, the character, had never really been explored in film. And so at the end of the day, though, we'd never wanted to tell a story about like his cradle to grave. You know, we never wanted to make like a 3-hour biopic about Ted Kennedy. And this is like the 7 days where his life completely changes. Like it speaks to, the tragedy of his brothers and how the legacy is forced upon him. And then, after this tragedy, it really changes his political career entirely. And so that was the opportunity here. And for us, it was all about getting the truth. And we did a lot of research. We ended up, going into a lot of court transcripts where a lot of people, including Ted Kennedy, were under oath. And that was the thing that was the guiding force for the movie, was under oath testimony by the people themselves. So
I think more than anything, we really just wanted to make a character study about Ted Kennedy, and it was really important for us that this not be like a conspiracy theory type movie. And so to Taylor's point, the truth was sort of our guiding light to sort of, figure out what happened that night and, why Ted Kennedy made the decisions that he made.
And then can you talk about your writing process? You guys are co-writers. What are some challenges and perks of having a co-writer?
The perks of having a co-writer is that you have somebody who's keeping you accountable.
Also, I'll fix his collar for him whenever he needs
thank
it.
God.
Tell him
I am very vain, and he knows that. That's what I love about him. But no, we keep each other accountable, and when one of us is tired and you don't want to work, it's ultimately that that's the job. I've got to be there for my friend.
The hardest part about writing is writing, so for me, if I didn't have somebody holding my feet to the fire, I don't know if I would write a single word, but because I have him, I show up every day to work, no matter what.
And then as a UT alum, what did you learn there that's carried over in your career?
I remember I took the intro to film class from Diane Zander, and I had done really well on all the projects, on all the assignments, and she was always very encouraging about my technical work. She was like, you have great lighting, you have great composition. Your story, it needs work. And so it was really those moments when people actually told me that I wasn't living up to my own potential, and especially to focus on story first, that taught me everything that, I hope that I brought to this movie. So
I turned in a project one time and the professor gave me an F, and I went to her office hours and was like, what the hell, why did you give me an F? And she said, you followed the rules. And so I got to redo the project, but not listening to, not paying attention to what the guidelines for the project were. And that taught me a really important lesson of just always think outside the box. You don't have to follow the rules, and, find your inner voice and be your own person.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. What approach did you want to take with this film?
Well, there's not been a lot of movies about Teddy Kennedy, so I think that was the main thing. And this story and, the impact that it had on his life and his career. And I think that it was, he's been gone for almost a decade, and we just felt it was time to maybe, examine it with a fresh eye and an honest eye.
And what's it like bringing it here for being the closing night film?
You can answer.
Truly an honor to be at the closing night film here, and, it's been well received at Toronto, and John was just in Philadelphia, and this is a great place.
Great being in Austin.
Yeah, it's great to be in Austin.
And what was about the story that you learned that you didn't know before?
Well, I was 9 years old when it happened, and my memory of it is, I thought I had the vague idea of what. I didn't realize when I read the script, I'd forgotten it happened on the same weekend as the moon landing, which was pretty astounding. And, there's a lot of particulars within it that, when you actually study the transcripts of the inquest, it's pretty phenomenal, some of the stuff that went down.
And then you've worked with Jason Clarke before. What was it like working with him on this
I worked
film?
with Jason, he had like an 8-second walk-on part in my first film, so I can't say I work with him at length. But I've been friends with him for a long time, and I was looking forward to working with him on this one.
What did he bring to the role that you didn't expect?
Absolute 150% dedication, research, and doing the homework, and working on his accent. I mean, that makes a big difference for when you're playing a real-life character.
And then what do you hope audiences take away from watching this film?
I mean, for me, I think it's a film that raises a lot of questions. Doesn't really matter sort of what your political leanings are. I think it's John fashioned a great character study, and I also think it's also, apropos for the times today in terms of power and what some with power can get away with, whether they're Democrat or Republican. So, and I'm sure John can add to that.
No, I mean, what he said.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.